Now, before I go into this video, let me just say, yes, I'm making a video covering the subject of Naruto and Boruto and whether or not Kishimoto is the writer or not. You know, that's the phrasing everybody's using. Is Kishimoto the writer or not? Which is already, disingenuous because that's not the way you should be looking at it, right? But anyway, I'm not making this video to bash this YouTuber Naruto Explain, but I'm using him as an example because he's often seen and looked at as the bastion of Naruto information. So once he says it, people tend to believe it, and people even use his videos for arguments. So I'm not trying to bash him. It's more or less me poking at this argument and his examples and reasonings for this argument, because it's not only him that share and have these opinions, but like I said, he's the biggest Naruto YouTuber with these opinions and this viewpoint. So I'm using him as an example. I don't really try to mention anybody's names in these videos, but fuck it. We got to talk about this subject, and I have to use this video, give him a shout out to everybody. You see his shit. I'll scroll through his links and all that, his description. Follow him or whatever. But this is not to bash him in particular. I just wanted to say that. Okay, I'm using his discussion points like I'm speaking to the whole community that believe what he's talking about. Okay, I'm trying to speak to the whole half of Naruto Boruto fans that think this. Okay, so I'm talking to y'all and I'm saying you and y'all. I'm talking about not him, just specifically. Just wanted to say that. And the reason I say it's disingenuous, if you're gonna find out more later, but to say that Kishimoto is the writer is disingenuous because, like, at least for me, I don't know about the other people who agree with my opinion that Kishimoto was not the main writer. He's not been the main writer. He's not the main one writing, even since Baryon mode, right? That's been my opinion. That's how I say it. I don't say Kishimoto's not the writer. Okay, he's not the main writer like people think he is. They just when people say he is the writer, that's my argument is he's not the main writer like y'all are saying. Okay, because it's true. He's not the writer, and he's not the writer. Okay, he's somewhere in between because he's taking more of an editorial stance and an overseer. He's guiding the hand. Okay, so I'm getting to that later, but it's disingenuous for these people to say Kishimoto is the writer, and then when evidence comes out that he has written or that he writes, and them to say, see, we told you he's the writer, he's writing. That's not the same argument, bro. Okay, y'all don't know how it works. It sounds like not speaking to Naruto Explain. He definitely knows a lot of shit. I'm not saying that he got some facts. Okay, he got facts, but some of his opinions I feel like aren't using those facts right. If that makes sense. But that's also the community. So like I said, when I say y'all and you, I'm not speaking to him specifically. So y'all don't look at the shit the right way, okay? I'm not gonna keep saying that shit either. I'm not gonna keep clarifying. I'm not talking about this nigga. I'm just gonna keep speaking from this point on. So you should already know I'm not speaking about him specifically every time I say y'all and you guys and shit like that, right? So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Only go over this information, but we're going to clear up some of the stuff that's been taken out of context, and we're going to put out some of the fires that are being spread by some disingenuous actors who now suddenly have moved the goalposts when it comes to this topic, because one of their major talking points of Kishi not being involved in the story has gone down the drain.
Now, right there's one of my first problems, okay? He's talking about moving the goalpost. He and other people like him are moving the goalpost because it's a fact. The other side of the argument has always been, yeah, Kishimoto is the writer, right? Kishimoto is writer, and especially after the Baryon mode chapter, they named him as the writer. There's no way he's not the writer. Are you stupid? They just said he was. That's basically their argument, right? But now they're using the information that just came out that includes him as being a part of the writing team and having an input on writing. They're using that to say, see, we told you he's a writing. Yeah, he's writing something, nigga, but he's not the writer. He's not the main writer, and he's wrote something. I'm gonna get into that part later, but yeah, he wrote the script in the past. He wasn't continuously writing the script. They had a writer and Ikemoto working together, but that's, I'm digressing. Let me stay on point. And he never goes into what talking points that aren't there anymore that people can't use. Because I know, for one, me being the person who agreed that Kishimoto's not really the main writer. You know, he's not in the forefront as much as y'all think. I still have talking points. None of mine have been destroyed since this new information came out, because all of my talking points and my reasonings for why Kishimoto was not the main writer have been based around pretty much this information that has just come out, because this is shit that we...
So jumping right into it, why are we learning this information right now? What is it about August 2024 that's so special? Well, over in France, there's a big 3-day convention going on, and this is the first time in almost 10 years since Kishimoto has been to a major convention outside of Japan. The last one being New York Comic-Con that yours truly went to back in 2015. So this is a big deal because Kishimoto, like his mentor, the late great Dragon Ball mangaka Akira Toriyama, getting him out post-publication of his series, it isn't an easy thing to do. So when he does make appearances like this, it is a really theme for the Italy Comic-Con, where Ikemoto and his editor from Shueisha, they participated in a 3-day panel, just like we have this whole weekend right now over in France. During day one of the con, we got a ton of information from Kishimoto's role in the story, the fights that Kishimoto and Ikemoto have had when it's come to the story points, in-depth information on characters like Kawaki, Boruto, Sarda, and Ada, as well as Kishimoto's own regrets back when he drew Naruto's manga. Most namely, the fact that he never explored Sakura and the relationship with her parents, which that's why he did the storyboards for Naruto Shippuden's movie Road to the Ninja, because that's stuff he couldn't use for the manga. All this stuff is connected to the main topic of the video, which is Kishimoto's involvement in the story, which is exactly what we were told several years ago. Kishimoto is writing Boruto's story and has been writing the story since he took over Baryon versus Ishiki battle onward. As I've said for years now, this is a collaboration between Kishimoto and Ikemoto when the story's being written. Let me restate this. This is a collaboration. The major points of the story, they are written by Kishimoto, and it is planned out until the end of the story. Each month after Ikemoto does the Nemo for each chapter, which the Nemo is basically the storyboards, changes get made, and Kishimoto and Ikemoto, they hash out the changes. They come to an agreement, and then Kishimoto either approves what has been changed or he pushes back against it. This happened.
Okay, I feel like this information was given out of context and out of order, because yes, what he just said was true, definitely. I'm not doubting that, but he feels like he's framing it a certain way, right? Now, before I speak on this part specifically, let me say, since the beginning of Boruto, there has been Ikemoto, Kodachi, Kishimoto, and Togashi. 4 people on the writing team. Togashi's the editor, okay? Or Toguchi, my bad. Toguchi is the editor. He was editor. Ikemoto was the writer, okay? He's the artist and writer. And Kodachi was the main second writer, or I guess he was the main writer, actually. He was the one who would more precisely, and they said it in the interviews, Ikemoto said it himself, he was the one who would more precisely look into detail at the things. But yes, all 4 of them would come together and make the decisions for Boruto as a story moving forward. That's why back before Kodachi got fired, they were already planning to do the whole Naruto death thing. That was already a plan. But Kishimoto was the one who didn't want Naruto to die, so his decision was final there. But the circumstances and everything that's happening, it's different from the script that was originally going, because Kodachi was the main one overseeing things a lot, okay? Like, he's not, none of them had the final decision. It's still a group decision. This is a team thing. The only difference is now that Kodachi got fired, Kishimoto was supposed to be taking his role. He got named in that role, okay, as being the main writer. But what he's doing is not changing. They're not completely throwing the story direction that they were already going with out the window since Baryon mode happened. No, it's still moving in the same direction because most of the same direction was already there before Kodachi got fired. A lot of these main plot points were Kishimoto's. I've said this in the video before, okay? So Kishimoto is now working with Toguchi and Ikemoto, and they're still there, and they got a whole team still, and they're making writing decisions and things, and Kishimoto just looks at it every month and says, okay, yeah, that's cool, that's fine, do this, okay? Even some things, Kishimoto, if he says, like he said before, he wanted Code to die, Ikemoto didn't want Code to die. This stuff isn't new, okay? Kishimoto even states how he doesn't have to worry because he already wrote the main plot points for the story. It's already a major story draft, okay? It's a template it's like a guideline for like all the way up to the major plot at the end, okay? And Ikemoto just, they fill in the gaps. The writing team fills in the gaps. Kishimoto doesn't have to worry, okay? He even says how he creates the new memo. Like every month he has a new storyboard for the story of Boruto. If Kishimoto, if they're following what Kishimoto wrote to a T and he wrote everything, then why would he be writing a new storyboard for the new chapter every month and how it's going to go? Because he's filling in the gaps. They only know the major plot points. They have to get to those major plot points. That's the only thing they have to get to. Whether or not they diverge from that major plot point that Kishimoto wrote is something they'd have to talk to him about, because they're still following his guidelines. His guidelines were plot points, not the whole story and every event unfolding as you watch it and read it. That's not what's going on. It's like Toriyama with the Tournament of Power. The anime team wrote the Tournament of Power scenes, but they had to follow the main plot points. Piccolo gets eliminated, Toriyama wrote that. But how he gets eliminated, the team wrote that bullshit, okay? This system of having the writer and these other writers and you have an editor is not new, okay? Because this is like saying that Kishimoto's assistant in the past is the writer, okay? The position Kishimoto has now, to say that he was the main writer is like saying his editor in the past was the main writer, because his editor in the past is pretty much taking the same position as Kishimoto. Kishimoto's taking a position as an editor, basically. People don't understand that, okay? And his editor in the past is responsible for a lot of major plot developments and characters. He's responsible for the creation of the Chunin exams, because Kishimoto was not going to do the Chunin exams, okay? And yeah, Kishimoto's the one that still does it because he's the writer, right? He's the writer. His editor tells him what to do, like, yo, we need some tournament style thing. We need, this going on. And Kishimoto does it, right? He told him, yo, Naruto needs a rival. We need a rival character for Naruto. He made Sasuke. Okay, Kishimoto made Sasuke. The editor told him to. The editor is responsible for that. It was his idea, that character. So, in a lot of character designs like Zabuza and Haku, Ikemoto, the guy we're following now, Ikemoto, because he was on Kishimoto's team in the past. Ikemoto he made Haku and Zabuza, straight up. He made them, basically. Okay? So, for you to say that Kishimoto's the writer in the position that he's in is not 100% true. And for you to push the narrative as such, as, yeah, we told you this whole time he's the writer, those words, that phrasing is not 100% true. It's not faithful. It's disingenuous, I feel like. You're pushing your own narrative at that point. Because you should say, yeah, Kishimoto writes. Kishimoto has written the script. Because Kishimoto wrote the script for Boruto. But even as he said, out of his own words, he said that it's so far from the original script. It's so far, and Kishimoto wrote the original script. This is what y'all have been harping on, right? This is what your anchor point is. Kishimoto wrote the original script. See? Yeah. He wrote the original script, and they had a team of other writers on the team that were changing certain points and certain things and had, making certain changes in certain directions. Even Code is not supposed to be here based on the original script. He was supposed to die a long time ago based off of Kishimoto's script. But Ikemoto, the writer, and he decided that he wanted to keep him alive. Yeah, this is a collaboration. Kishimoto was working right with him, like how Toriyama was. Toriyama would write the outline for the granola sketch, or for the granola arc. Toriyama wrote the granola arc, and then he gives it to Toyotaro, and Toyotaro, being a writer and the artist, can make whatever revisions he wants. Of course, he has to check with Toriyama. Toriyama, if it's not bad, he'll just say, okay, yeah, do it. He's not gonna like, well, no, actually, I think you should. He's not going that hard, you know. And it's not to say, that, you know, that's not speaking to how much they like their own work if they're not going that hard. No, they're trusting their pupil. They're trusting the person they chose. Toriyama would tell him, like, yo, why do you keep asking me all the time? You need to just start being more free and do the things the way that you feel like you need to do. But like Toyotaro, knowing that he can't do that, would respectfully keep checking in on Toriyama, asking him shit, you know. Toriyama told him a long time ago, like, yo, you got to just get more free and loose with it. He started doing that shit. A lot of us didn't like that, and which is fine. Toyotaro is not Toriyama, right? He's a different writer. Kishimoto and Ikemoto are different writers, okay? Now, Ikemoto has been closely working with Kishimoto this whole time, and we know for a fact, Kishimoto has said that Ikemoto's art is similar to his. It's similar, but we seen the beginning of Boruto. He was trying to do some other shit. Like, maybe that's not how he was drawn while he was his editor or his, his assistant. Maybe he wasn't drawn like an assistant like that. Or, while he was his assistant, he wasn't drawn like that maybe. But as soon as he started working on Boruto on his own, the first couple chapters, Sasuke looks like Professor Snape. Minato's hair is curly. Everybody looks different. Ikemoto started doing his own thing. And Kishimoto has been there the whole time, but he was never on the main writing seat, because even they had the other writer, I forget his name, but I'll have it up here. He was a writer. He was writing stuff. He would talk to Toriyama. He would talk to Kishimoto. I probably forget this. He would call Kishimoto. Kishimoto wasn't even really on the scene like that. He would call him and ask him questions about the script and about his story that he wrote, because they're making revisions and changing shit this whole time. They've been doing that. Kishimoto's on here now, not making revisions and changing shit, but he's using his guiding hand to help Ikemoto, okay? And Ikemoto is often doing what it is that he wants, as Toriyama also previously stated. When Ikemoto wanted to keep certain characters alive, and Kishimoto wanted to kill them. They don't agree on those things. But what happens in the final results is what Ikemoto wants. Ikemoto likes putting heels on the Kunoichi. Ikemoto wanted to keep Code alive and some of these other characters alive. They're following Toriyama's main script. Yes, this is what I said in the past video. I can link it. I even said, I'm sure the main plot point of whatever events that are going to lead up and happen to this time skip, this whole concept for a time skip, and Boruto being an enemy of the leaf, and Kawaki being in a different position, and him doing something to Naruto, so Naruto's out of the story, and Boruto has to be all that shit that we seen in the first chapter. That's Toriyama. That's the script. We knew this, man. I said this. That's part of Toriyama's script. But how they get to some of these plot points, what happens to get to some of these plot points, will be different. You see that we're still in the same future circumstances, but some of the plot points and how we got there, some of the things that happened before we got there, are going to be completely different from the original script, as Kishimoto himself has just said too. This is what I said, right? So, and this is not a video, like I said again, this is not to bash Naruto Explain or the people who share his opinion, but hey man, I see that, to me it feels like they're just pushing the wrong thing, so I gotta push back with the right thing. What I think is the right thing. If you disagree, then you disagree. I disagree with them, right? A lot of people disagree with them already, right? But I don't see people making videos on it. I guess I have to be that guy to make a video for the other side of the argument, and I'm fine with that. Because it's definitely not, maybe some people think it for no reason and they don't have the facts, But I think I got some facts. Okay, I think you guys are misinterpreting this information. When they said that Kishimoto wrote the original script, and then after the series started, he wrote the original script, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. That is true. He wrote the original script. They're going off of that, and they're surmising and switching things around, and doing revisions and shit like that. But especially now, since Kishimoto became more close to the team since the Baryon Mode chapter, okay, he's in there with them, and he just said recently that it's moved so far away from his original script. Like, it's not even the same original shit anymore. The main plot points, I'm sure, are the fact that someday Boruto would be the enemy somehow, or even if it was the same means, right? It couldn't have been Ada. Maybe it was a different character. Ikemoto's made his own characters too, right? So it could have been anything, any set of circumstances that changed before the main plot point happened, but the main plot point still was going to happen. Boruto was somehow still going to be on that Hokage monument, wearing Sasuke's robes, looking like he'd been training and shit, ready to fight Code, full control over the karma. However, all that shit is going to happen. He might not even have full control over the karma at that point anymore. They could have gave us this training because they're not going to go with that same plot point. Like, the karma is going to still be his enemy. Who knows? Maybe he will have full control over it, because he definitely used it when he was fighting Kawaki on that Hokage monument in the first episode / first chapter. You know, the flashback, the future flashback, the thing that everybody saw, right? Boruto used the karma. And in that scene, it wasn't bothering him. But we know now the karma does bother him. This is the current story plot line. Like, we know the karma does bother him. So either at some point, maybe that's going to change, or that future flashback is not going to stay the same. Exactly. It's not going to happen the same. It's a possibility. So far, Kawaki did send Naruto somewhere. And he said, I'm going to send you the same place I sent the Hokage. But Kawaki also has been saying this whole time during the manga we're reading, he's been saying he's going to kill Boruto. I don't think he's been speaking yet like he wants to send him away. But that's another thing that probably changed from Kishimoto's script, because he's not the writer, okay? Other people are writing for Boruto. That's what you should say, all you guys. You shouldn't say, yeah, Kishimoto's the writer. You should say Kishimoto and Ikemoto and this guy and that guy are the writers for Boruto. And Kishimoto's decisions are not final, even though this was his original creation. His decisions are not final. He said that he wanted certain characters to die. They didn't do it. Okay, some decisions he make, yeah, they're final. He's not going to move. He's going to tough it out, like with Naruto. He was the one who said, no, we're not killing Naruto. He didn't want Naruto to die. He said, no, we're not going to do that. I'm sure he didn't want to kill Kurama either. But we don't know that. I can say that because it feels like Kishimoto. It sounds like him. And we know from based off of the evidence that he didn't want Naruto to die and Naruto's still alive. So, but like, you know, at that point, you're just making an educated guess. And that's cool and all, but no, we need facts out here, man. Okay? Kishimoto said what he said. And the facts say what they say. I'm going to end it with this, because this is like a good point. You say my point, you know, you say Kishimoto was known to have written the original script, like the people who like to say he's a writer say, right? He even said this in his video. He said, I don't think he understood not understood, but I don't think he caught the contradiction in it. He was harping on how, and a lot of people harp on, you know, this time I'm talking about him, but a lot of people harp on, and he was saying in his video that Kishimoto wrote the original script. I've seen people all in comments, not just his comments, but other comments saying, oh, but look at this picture. It says Kishimoto, they're following Kishimoto's original script since this day. Kishimoto just came out and said even that this is moving so far away from his original script. That's a contradiction. So if they're following his script and then it comes out and we find out that it's going so far away from his original script, like I've been saying, right, then Kishimoto's like the head, even if he's written the script, okay, this is not following what he wrote to a T, is my point. It's not doing that, nor is he the main writer, because Code would have been dead already. Things like that would not have happened. Some things, there's probably more, and maybe hopefully people ask the good questions, because they should have asked, like, what plot points so far that have happened have been diverging from the original script that you intended, Kishimoto Sensei, and what have been the things that Ikemoto and the other rest of the team have, made going forward, and even the past writer, right? They should ask shit like that, because then we can get a clear, clean-cut answer on who's writing and who wrote what and who's written what and who's currently making the main decisions. Because based on what we know, if Kishimoto wrote the whole script, and even before Kishimoto, before the Baryon chapter, the old writer was writing with Ikemoto and their team. They're writing, and he was calling Kishimoto, making revisions and changing shit up from Kishimoto's original script even back then. Now Kishimoto's on the team. People want to say it's following his original script again. 2 years later, or a year later, like right now, 2 years later or whatever. I forgot how long ago Baryon was. Presently, Kishimoto comes out and mentions how it's moved so far away from his original script. The original script was his. He said it moved so far away from the original script, okay? And that's just the fact. He said that. That's the contradiction right there. That is my point. That is one of my main points on why Kishimoto was not the main writer. I've never said he's not writing. And if I've said he's not writing, I'm saying that directly in response to people talking about how much he's writing and that he wrote this and that he wrote that. I'm saying, no, he's not writing that. He didn't write that. You don't know that. We don't know this, okay? This is what's going on my side of the argument. I'm sure a lot of people who think he wasn't the main writer, that's my issues with how it's said too. Y'all gotta say it different. Y'all can't say, oh yeah, people were saying that Kishimoto is not the writer in response to y'all saying that Kishimoto is the writer and he's writing everything. Like, no, y'all saying more or less he's writing everything. Like, come on, bro. No, he's not writing everything. He's not responsible for every single plot point, every single thing that happens in a chapter that you're like, oh shit, yeah, Kishimoto, it's so good, he did this, or damn, fuck Kishimoto, that was so bad, why did he do that? That's not all him, bro. You don't know which ones are him. Yeah, he's on the team and he's still at fault, because even if he's not writing and the things, he's checking on it every month and he's okaying things. This is also one of my main arguments and main points, because I'm not being biased, right? Even if I believe Kishimoto's not the writer, or he's not writing like 90% of the shit, I still put him at fault. No doubt. I'm not one of those people that don't put him at fault. I'm not trying to deny that he's the writer because I want to save and preserve, the good that he's done. I recognize all of Kishimoto's bad shit. Even though he's one of my favorite, creators, I recognize all of his bad shit. And I recognize how he's equally as responsible for being, like I've said before, you can look at my old videos, I said Kishimoto is complicit and complacent in the writing for Boruto. Even if he is not the main writer, even if he's sitting back on the sidelines and Ikemoto's doing everything, Kishimoto's still at fault because he's being complicit and complacent. If you don't know what that means, I'm saying that he's sitting back, not doing anything and not saying anything when he sees all this shit that we perceive as bad goes down. All the stuff that we're saying is bad when it happens, he's sitting back and letting it happen and watching it happen, and he's okay with it happening. At least he's not against it happening. Okay, that's what I mean when I say he's complicit and complacent with all of this shit. I've said that before. I might link the video down below, because I've definitely said all this shit before in the past, and this is not my newest version of my argument. I've been saying this before. I blame Kishimoto because I know that he's not the main writer, okay? And I know that he writes things and he looks over things, so he's still responsible. If you're a chef in the kitchen, if you're the head chef in the kitchen and you don't never touch the stove because you're not cooking anything back there, but you're still the head chef, and you don't cook anything because you're letting all the sous chefs cook, right? Like Gordon Ramsay, he's the head chef in that motherfucker. You don't see him go up and touch the skillets. He doesn't do that. This is the type of situation they're in. He's standing over there trusting the people that he taught to cook the things the way that he cooks them, okay? And he's trusting them to go over there and cook it and deliver it to each side of the table. deliver the food the way he would cook it, right? It's not going to taste the way he cook it every time, but like, hey, let's keep up with the analogy, right? So Gordon Ramsay is Kishimoto. He's the top chef. He's the head chef. He don't step in unless somebody burn the shit. Kishimoto's not going to step in unless you burn the bitch, okay? Okay? Ramsay don't step in unless it's burnt. You burnt it. It's raw unless it's raw or it's burnt. He's not stepping in, okay? We've seen this before. The head chef stands back and he's letting everybody else cook while he's watching until something goes terribly wrong that he thinks is going terribly wrong and that he catches going terribly wrong. Okay? Now, you can argue, I know someone said, but the head chef's formula is going to be followed to a T by everybody else, so the food's going to taste the same. Listen, it's just an analogy, bro. It's an analogy, okay? Obviously, these niggas ain't writing like Kishimoto. Let's just keep that there. And this is going to be the end of the video because I did not plan to make a 30-minute discussion / rant / talk, whatever the hell you want to call it, okay? More like a rant, okay? I'm out.